Hi, my name is Jeanne Féaux. Croix. You can see me on the left there. I'll be talking about how we tried to virtually display a virtually ruined river to release a riparian otherwise in Central Asia. And some of the artwork that will accompany us on the right there is by Denise Kapalova. I'll tell you about the basic river issues around these 3,000 kilometers shared by 4 countries, the research behind it, the ethnographic sites, and the exhibition that we made of it online and offline, the strengths that I see in this kind of collaboration, and the weaknesses and questions that emerge, especially for environmental anthropologists. The Naryn and Syr Darya rivers are shared by all kinds of people and very different kinds of places. So the top left, you can see Kyrgyzstan, high alpine pastures, but it's also very dependent on hydropower. You can see an image on the left there below. And there's all sorts of very heavy, intense use of irrigated agriculture along these rivers, so much so that by the time it reaches the Aral Sea, very little is left over. And you can see fishermen and policymakers we engaged in the bottom right. This is what famously much of the Aral Sea looks like. You can see sat-nav images tracking its disappearance, virtual disappearance. The Syr Darya still feeds the northern half quite a bit. It's doing fairly well, but the rest isn't. So we spent 5 years with the team, Professor Aral Sea from Uzbekistan, Professor Muhira Soyurkulova from Kyrgyzstan, and PhD students along these 5 little dots, many little dots, tracking what actually happens along this river, how people live there and use the water and other things. And some of these other things that people use are reeds, for example. You can see in the top left-hand corner for fodder, but also building. There are also all these kinds of bridges that have been blown up between countries and changed marriage markets, bottom left. And there's the Tajik Sea, which kind of unintentionally, this huge hydropower reservoir has become a new nature reserve of sorts. So many things that were not visible in the framework of talking about just a cubic kilometer of water that is owned by this country or that country. And for me, and I think also for many people in the team, this was really a journey from classic ethnography through an exhibition to something much more radical around a social learning concept of research and interaction. So from the live exhibition, and because of COVID, we created an online exhibition in 6 languages. 5 of them are the main languages spoken along the river. And you can find all this on the website there. And the big panorama you can see there of the river is by Cholpon Alamanova. And we decided to tell 3 intersecting stories, that of humans along the river, non-humans like fish, but also bridges, and alternatives in the past and the future. Here are some of the amazing array of people we've been working with. The curator in the bottom left, Muhira Soyurkulova, in the top right, the children's author, Altun Kapalova, students, hydrologists, traditional healers. And here's how we opened our vernissage online, and we're supported by different institutions. And I have time to show you 2 examples of what we did. One, a big reed tower installation, and the second, a set of collages around the city of Khojand in northern Tajikistan. So the Bayterek reed tower was inspired by the Syr Darya Delta livelihoods, where reed is used as a cash crop, as fodder, but also for making buildings. And Bayterek is an iconic building in the capital of Kazakhstan with a golden globe in the top of it that you can climb into. And we decided to twist this a bit and create and honor reed in this other way. The set of collages really focuses on gendered interactions with the river, using picture books from the Soviet period that often depicted women as swimming. This is actually very rare now. And then tragically, what is much more common is, for example, that women are no longer able to swim and commit suicide, as from this big bridge in the city of Khojand. And these collages were a way of attempting to imagine other ways of engaging, more positive, lively engagements with the river. We designed this online exhibition for phone use because that's what people do in this region, and lots of social media presence too. The strengths I see are in these really different and varied networks that have grown between LGBTQ activists, for example, and ethnographers in Uzbekistan. Also the accessibility, that online was good in many ways, that it can be multilingual, that we really invested in that, and that it's citizen-centered, really attempting to connect people up in all kinds of ways. So, for example, we ran drawing workshops for children. We published a children's book because that's what people engaged with easily and enjoyed. The weaknesses are the limited rhythm of interaction, sort of on and off, and not only because of COVID or because of being online or because of the international borders. These are networks that are still really person-centered around a small group of people. And the citizen-centeredness is also a weakness because it means we've really not been very visible to policymakers. This is a different world and a kind of different step in many ways, even in small countries, a different way of talking. And the lessons that I at least have taken away from trying to recognize this river is it also really meant recognizing research relations. Things shifted and changed. Although the flow of money did not necessarily, right? And I really now think of research much more as something that I want to be a social learning process where knowledge is not accepted as really existing if it's only in a book or in the mind of one or two people. And I think for that concept, we need new support structures and positions from which we can do this kind of research and social learning towards sustainable human life. And I think much can be learned from social movements that have been doing this for a much longer time in different ways. So thank you for joining me on this river trip that connects, binds, but also separates and hopefully lifts. And here's some of the artwork again for you. Please go and check it out. Also with all the references that I don't have time work now. I really look forward to our discussion around anthropology, environmental ruination, or growth, and flourishing hopefully too, and art. Thank you so much.